Alright troops, welcome back to the vlog. I'm to do this very, very quickly. We're here for West Ham v Freiburg in the Europa League round of 16. It's popping off. I'm very late. Let's head in and check out the game. Very excited for this one.
So I am first and foremost a Motherwell fan in the Scottish Premiership, but I live in London and I come to see West Ham from time to time as well. Tonight is the Europa League round of 16. It is a beautiful stadium here. Fantastic atmosphere. The West Ham fans are a passionate bunch. 1-0 down on aggregate, but I'm quietly confident that they'll turn it around. This last goal to make it 5-0 is one of the best goals I've ever seen in the flesh.
Here we are, just a quick 30-minute underground ride across London, and we're here. A couple of things real quick. Firstly, I ran a giveaway. Winners have been contacted. Winners are on your screen for transparency. The winning hand was pocket sevens. I butchered the giveaway. I said that I'm not going to tell you if I won or lost, and then the tracker went up by £300 or whatever. So yeah, right, I'll do it again when we hit 20k subs. Hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later. Big shout out to everyone that joined in the giveaway. Right, we're here. I am losing for the year playing live poker. I'm also losing for the year playing online, but that's another story for another day. Yeah, let's win some money tonight. It's been a long time coming. I'm going to go in and play well and run well and not spew and win some money. Let's do it. I'm excited for this.
All right, a lot of fun at the game earlier, but it's time to play some cards. I'm starting off at 1-3, moving up later in the evening. Onto our first hand of the day. I'm in middle position with Jack-9 of clubs. Under the gun is limped in for £3 and I raise it on up to £15. The button is going to make the call. The big blind makes the call. Action back on under the gun. And he's going to move all in for £250. This is a very large limp shove. I am tempted to spike call and win versus ace king or something, but I do just let it go. Both the other players in the hand let it go as well. We have a game on our hands, boys and girls. Next up, I'm on the button with 9-8 of diamonds. The cutoff is an aggro reggae kid who made the call with the queen 3 suited in the last London vlog. He raises to £10. I'm going to put in the re-raise to £35. The big blind is then going to cold 4-bet, but he only makes it £100 to go. Very small cold 4-bet indeed. I don't love it, but we're in position. We're 1k effective, so I do make the call. We go heads up to the flop, which is king 6-5 with 2 hearts. Decent start here. I've got a gut shot to the nuts, so when he bets out for £65, very small c-bets, I think we have a pretty mandatory call here. To the turn, it's another king. My opponent is now going to slow down and check to me. Very tempting to start bluffing this king on the turn, but I don't think he's going to fold a hand like aces or queens, which is kind of likely what he's got when he puts in the small cold 4-bet. So I decide to just check it on back, take a free card. The river is the 10 of hearts. Front door flush gets there, and he checks to me again. I think this is a mandatory bluff now. I've got very, very few bluffs in my range. Lots of value on this flush completing river, so I man up and bet out for £280. He very quickly taps the table and folds his cards. I think he's folded pocket queens exactly. Really nice to get this bluff through, especially because it's my last hand at this table. Moving over to the new 2-5 game that's opening. We're starting short-handed for now, me and 4 other players. And our first hand comes just 5 minutes into the game starting. I'm under the gun, not really under the gun because we're 5-handed, but I raise it on up with king queen offsuit. I make it £15 to go. The button makes the call, the small blind makes the call, and the big blind calls as well. We go 4 ways to the flop. It is king Queen 7 rainbow. Really nice start here, flopping top 2 pair. I'm of course going to c-bet my hand. I bet out for £30. It folds all the way around to the big blind. I'm begging him not to fold. He doesn't fold. He doesn't call. He check raises to £85. It is kind of tempting to click it back on him, but there's no flush draws out there. We're only £500 effective. I decide to just smooth call. The turn is a full rainbow deuce. Absolutely nothing gets there. Nothing changes. And he bets again for £145. It's kind of tempting to just put him in here. He's only got about £250 behind, but there's no flush draw. He could just have a complete random bluff in his range. So I decide to just smooth call, let him blast off if he is bluffing. To the river, it is a 9. My opponent is now going to move all in for £240. I, of course, snap call. He turns over Jack 10 offsuit. This is so annoying. Really, really not happy having been rivered here. But obviously it's just part of the game. Nothing you can do. I think our hand is well played, and that's all that matters. Not off to a great start here in this 2-5 game. And what's worse, the guy I've just doubled up is going to grab some racks and head off to play pot limit Omaha. This is going to leave the game four-handed. But thankfully the casino shows some common sense. They're going to give us a very, very nice rake reduction to keep the game going. See if we can get it full. It is going to fill up later on, but we're going to battle short-handed for now, and I love the short-handed battle. Next up, we've got 8-5 of spades in the big blind. The small blind is going to raise it on up to £15, and I am going to make the call. Heads up to the flop we go. It is 6-4 deuce rainbow. We've got a double gutter and a backdoor flush draw. Really good board for my range as well. So when my opponent checks to me, I come out swinging. I bet out £20, and he makes the call. The turn is the 10 of diamonds. He checks again, and I bet £100 to put max pressure on lots of his one pair hands, hands like ace, deuce, king 4, all these types of hands. He's also got some ace high, some queen 5 type hands as well. I'm going to put max pressure on all those types of hands in his range, but again, he is going to make the call. I'm ready to absolutely blast most rivers in the deck, but a glorious 3 rolls off to give me a straight. My opponent checks again, and I decide to bet out for £230, try and get max value with my rivered straight. My opponent goes deep into the tank. He clearly doesn't love it. I actually think he's got pocket aces here, and when I see him tanking like this, I don't think he's going to fold pocket aces, but he does eventually let his hand go. I'm never going to find out what he had. Really curious to see what he had there, but this is a nice pot coming my way, undoes some of the damage of the king-queen offsuit in the last hand. The game is also now 6-handed. We're slowly filling up, and what's more, the straddle is on as well. I pick up a couple of J-boys on the button and raise it on up to £30. The straddle is going to make the call. He's the reg who I made a straight against in the last hand. He's an unknown player, but he's a regular looking fella, and he's playing quite solid so far as well. We go heads up to the flop. It is 8-6-3 rainbow. Really good start here with my pair of jacks, and I decide to c-bet for £45. The straddle is going to make the call, and the turn is a very connecting 4 that brings a flush draw as well. I think my hand is a pretty mandatory bet here. I bet again for £110. And again, my opponent makes the call. I'm pretty sure he'd raise better on the turn here. To the river we go. It is an offsuit 9. He checks to me, and I debated just checking back. I'm in a bit of a downswing right now, and it's kind of natural to shy away for going for thin value in these spots when you're running into nutted hands very, very often. But in the end, I give myself a shake, and I bet one last time for £250. It's not a great sign when he calls relatively quickly, but I turn over my hand, and he mucks his. Thank God for that. If I had one more thin value bet blow up in my face, I was going to retire and become a mailman, but thankfully the Gazzy B show goes on. 7 minutes later, we've got pocket jacks again, this time in the small blind, and the same guy from the last couple of hands is going to raise to £30 in the cutoff. I'm going to put in the re-raise to £120 from the small blinds, action back on him, and he is going to put in a very healthy 4-bet. He makes it £300 to go. I don't love this one bet. I don't think shoving is great here. I don't think folding is great. I think we have a call and see what happens on the flop kind of scenario. So I make the call. We go heads up to the flop. It is 9-9-6 rainbow. This is a pretty decent flop here for my pocket jacks. But when I checked my opponent, he bets out very quickly for £300. This is a bigger bet than I was expecting to face. It's a big 4-bet. People don't tend to 4-bet bluff much in live poker. I'm justifying what's coming next. I fold the flop. I have called a 4-bet pre-flop with pocket jacks and folded a 9-high flop. This is a disgustingly nitty fold, but the slightly bigger c-bet than I expected to face scared me away. Maybe he just had ace-king and bluffed me nice and good. Who knows? How about we pick up pocket jacks for the 3rd time in the space of 20 minutes and play another pot versus the same guy? This time I pick up the jacks in the cutoff. Under the gun is limped in, and I put in the raise to £25. The big blind is the same guy I've been battling with over the last few hands. He puts puts in the re-raise to £140. It folds back round to me, and I decide to just smooth call. We go heads up to the flop. It is 10-8 deuce with 2 hearts. And now my opponent decides to check. He played the last really low flop really aggressively, and now he's checking. I think my hand is strong enough to bet here, so I bet out for £90. My opponent thinks for a few seconds, and he makes the call. The turn is an offsuit 6. He checks again, and I decide that I'm going to bet again, this time for £225. And he pretty quickly folds his hand. This is going to make me feel a little better about my fold in the last hand. And after this hand, I have to tell him,
I played 3 hands against you and I've had jacks 3 times. I swear to God, I've had jacks 3 times. 3 times.
I have also decided to have a couple of pints as well. This idea came to me immediately after that guy turned over Jack 10 offsuit about an hour ago versus my King Queen. Right now I'm just chilling, playing 2-5, folding jacks on the flop to 1 bet and a 4-bet pot. It's not a bad life. Moving on now, there's a new player to the game. He's a fellow online pro. He plays 500 Zoom. We battle all the time. He plays very well online. He also loves to make the game bigger. And in this next hand, he is blind raised to £20. He is directly to my right, so I have the option to do the blind 40. And I'll give you guys 3 guesses whether or not I decide to do it. It folds all the way around to him, and he raises to £120. I look down at Jack 9 offsuit. Not a bad blind £40 raise hand at all. We're about £1,700 effective, so I go ahead and make the call. We go heads up to the flop. It is 10-8-6 with 2 hearts. Thought I'd flop the straight. Very, very close, but no cigar. My opponent is going to c-bet here for £120. I decide I'm going to raise with a heart in my hand, but without the heart, I decide to just call. The turn is a 9 of clubs. Thought I'd turned a straight, but I've just turned a pair instead. My opponent is going to bet again. This time he sizes down to £160. Not sure what to make of that, but I think we've got a very, very easy call here. Nothing else for us to do. To the river, it is the ace of clubs. Backdoor flush draw gets there. I miss my straight draw, and now my opponent checks to me. I think my hand is way too strong to bluff. I just check it on back. He's got ace 4 offsuit. This is so annoying. I had turned the best hand. He had 3 outs, and he hit 1 of them on the river. Talk about Greenstein on the river. These goddamn internet kids coming in here, making the game bigger and sucking out on me. Time for another pint of cider, I think. Next up, I'm in the straddle with King Queen offsuit. It folds all the way around to the small blind. He's a recreational player, and he raises it on up to £20. The big blind is going to make the call. He's the aggro internet kids, and I am going to put in the squeeze to £90. Small blind is going to make the call, and the big blind folds. I've got exactly what I wanted here. We go heads up to the flop. It is Jack, Jack, 8 rainbow. No pair for me just yet, but a decent board for my range, so I do decide to see right here for £75. My opponent thinks for a few seconds and makes the call. The turn is a queen. Really nice turn card for me here. My opponent checks to me, and I think betting is definitely fine here, but I decide to just check it on back. The river is an offsuit 6. Nothing really changes, and my opponent now moves all in for £202. I'm not loving life, but I think we have a pretty mandatory call here, so I do make the call. He's got Jack 8 offsuit for the flopped Nutter Butters. Yep, that'll do it. I can't beat that. Nice hand, sir. This is going to send me down £525 for the night. Just can't get any momentum or consistency with the grind so far tonight, but hoping that'll change when I pick up ace jack of diamonds in the small blind. There have been 3 limps. Straddle is on here, so I raise it on up to £80. Under the gun is going to make the call, as is the hijack. We go 3 ways to the flop. It is queen, jack, deuce, rainbow. Not a bad start at all. I definitely see bet this hand versus 1 player, but versus 2, I just decide to check. Both my opponents are going to check as well. We go 3 ways to the turn. It is an offsuit 4. I think my hand is definitely strong enough to bet for value now, so I bet out for £160. Under the gun is going to fold, but the hijack makes the call. The river is another 4. I don't think he's going to have much 4x given the way he's played the hand, so I decide to bet again, this time for £200. I'm wondering if this is a bit too thin. He is really thinking it over, and the longer it goes on, the more I'm thinking I'm good here. He does eventually call. I show my hand, and he taps the table and mucks. It is such a nice feeling going for thin value and getting it. This is not the first time I've done that tonight. Very, very happy to get that nice value bet through. This is the biggest pot I've won so far tonight to send me into profit for the evening. On to our final hand of the night. I pick up pocket jacks yet again. This is the 4th time I've had them today. Under the gun is raised to £45. The straddle is on, but this is a 4.5x raise from a very tight player under the gun, so I decide to just call. I think that's the best option here. This is going to bring in the straddle as well. We go 3 ways to the flop. It's a relatively safe 5-5 deuce with 2 diamonds. The straddle is going to check, as is the pre-flop aggressor. I think we've got a pretty clear stab on the flop. See where we're at. I bet out for £65. The straddle makes the call, and then this very tight player is going to check raise to £195. Not only am I really worried about the strength of his range, but we've also got the straddle behind us to worry about. We've also made a ridiculously tight fold with pocket jacks earlier in the night, so it really doesn't matter if we do it again. I do make a very, very nitty laydown here. Really not sure if this is just too tight or if it's really well played, if we've made savings. The straddle is going to show a deuce and then folds. Under the gun is then going to flash his cards to the straddle and then muck them. I did toy with the idea of being that guy who's like, oh, show one, show all, but do you know what? It doesn't matter. I just let them get on with it. Really not sure if this fold is too tight or if it's okay. After this hand, I decide that I'm all pokered out. I tap the table and head outside into the sobering, cold, miserable London night for a drunken lime bike cycle home. Guys and girls, if you've enjoyed the show, kindly click the subscribe button. Until next time, take it easy.